News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
Executive lead for this conference. It's great to see everybody since 2018, and I look forward in a couple of years to another one of these conferences in India. I'd also like to recognize our very strong partners in AAAE for their work in implementing this conference. Across aviation, as Mike Whitaker said, and I would just reinforce over and over again, it's partnerships that make it work. And my goal today in this event is to reemphasize the partnerships that we have with each other. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's good to see our partners from India, the Maldives, Nepal, and Bhutan here as well. We have several of my TSA colleagues here who are excited to discuss what we're working on to improve transportation security. And I think as you've heard from each one of us as we've spoken, every time we speak, we're always looking at ways to improve, and to improve on a timeline that, as Mike said, is a lot faster than the speed of government. And that's been one of my key focus areas in my time as a TSA administrator. As we know, air travel drives our economies and binds our people together, and people are traveling in truly extraordinary numbers. In the United States, we're seeing passenger numbers never before seen in the history of TSA. TSA is almost 23 years old. Just this past Sunday, we had our busiest day ever. 2.99 million passengers went through our screening checkpoints on Sunday. We expect over the 4th of July or the Independence Day holiday, we will break the 3 million passenger number. To put in context, when I look at passenger volumes just in 2024, 7 of the 10 busiest days ever in TSA's history have been in 2024, and they've been roughly in the last 60 days. So the demand signal from passengers is clearly robust, and it's good to see the recovery from the pandemic. I applaud the opportunity created by USTDA to have a conversation on how we can continue to work together as two great aviation systems, to see those new horizons and join together to reach them. And I would note that we are connecting. For example, we have an aviation security working group together between the United States and India that will meet in Delhi in the fall. And representatives from India just attended the TSA International Design and Training Symposium, which was in Las Vegas, Nevada, just a few weeks ago. Your plan to increase the number of airports, which you have already done significantly, is certainly ambitious. And TSA's journey from where we have been to where we are going has many lessons embedded within it. And those are lessons that we'd be honored to share with you as you continue your journey. India's intent to grow transportation capacity creates real opportunity for India and the United States to partner and to harmonize. And harmonize is a word that I use increasingly in my position. The effort is to harmonize standards for aviation security, to harmonize testing regimes so that we can truly compare results across different aviation systems. You already have 3 last point of departure airports with direct flights to the United States in operation. And it would be very helpful from my perspective as the TSA administrator. I have a very large cadre of what we call TSARs. It's an acronym. It stands for Transportation Security Administration Representatives, or attachés, in American embassies around the world. We do not have one in Delhi, and I very much want to place a TSAR and a program analyst in our embassy in Delhi. I find that local interaction is so critically important for developing our partnership, which already has a very strong foundation. And I would just offer that up as something that I am eager to move forward on. As subject matter experts, these TSARs can advise on security investments and procedures and help with crisis situations and resolve highly complex and potentially controversial transportation security issues involving the international communities. As I travel around the world and I talk to our US ambassadors, they often say to me that having an FAA attaché, having a TSA attaché is so critically important to have that expertise right in the embassy, right on hand, and to be able to have those relationships with our partner agencies in the host countries. We should also consider signing a memorandum of agreement to share sensitive security information. We have a category, a classification of information that is not classified in the true sense of of classified material, but it is sensitive enough that it needs additional protections. Whenever we share sensitive security information, which is really critical to a growing partnership, we do want to have a memorandum of agreement which covers the aspects of that sharing arrangement. Harmonizing and partnering is a real opportunity and supports our common aviation security mission, and you can be assured of my personal commitment in this regard. Both TSA and India's transportation security posture was born of cruel tragedy. For India, it was the Kanishka bombing, Air India Flight 182 in 1985. For TSA, it was the 9/11 attacks in 2001. These tragic events were paradigm shifts in how we both thought about transportation security that continue to today. I'd like to briefly cover a few priorities for TSA that I think would be of interest to you. And I'd like to begin with technology. We have a lot of our technology partners in the audience. They are so critical to our ability to put transportation security equipment in our airports across the United States and to work closely with our international partners on things that will allow us to, for example, verify identities of passengers, do carry-on bag screening, check bag screening, and on-person screening. These critical technology initiatives accomplish all three of my key goals. And whenever I look at a technology investment, it has to meet these three criteria. It has to, first and foremost, improve transportation security effectiveness. Why would you invest in technology if you can't get better at detecting the threats that you need to detect? The second, and given the growth numbers that the Secretary mentioned, that Mike mentioned, that I just mentioned, it's really important that any technology investment increase our efficiency overall. And the third criteria is the technology has to result in a better customer experience. It's very important to us that we have the support of customers, that our customers, travelers, passengers see that we are aggressively investing in technology solutions and continue to ensure that they have safe and secure travel every time they board an aircraft. We strive to remain a global leader in transportation security by focusing on capability innovation based on evolving threats. As the administrator, I spend a great deal of my time thinking about and talking to experts, both internationally and domestically, about where threats are evolving. Because I don't think it's in my job to just deal with current threats. It takes many years to put capability in place that we would foresee as a developing threat posture. And so those are things that I think our growing partnership will allow us to share more robustly between the two countries. In biometrics, TSA has invested in biometric technology, which adds a very, very important layer to our security procedures. Biometrics are a powerful tool, greatly improving identity verification performance. It's not even close. When you're trying to verify an identity with a visual comparison between someone who has a picture on an identity credential that might be 7 or 8 years old, and we are employing biometric technology while safeguarding passenger privacy. When we first looked at biometric capability, one of our entering arguments, not something that we thought of later, but an entering argument, is that we're collecting very personal information on passengers. We need to make sure that we have extraordinary protections and extraordinarily clear data retention policies in place. And I understand that India has an extensive biometric system as well, so there's a really good opportunity for us to do some work together on biometric identity verification. The next is, it might sound a little wonky, but it's really important to our collective futures, particularly as you think about increasing rapidly, continuing to increase rapidly the size of your aviation system, and starting out with some of those green space initiatives, which are wonderful, to be able to start with a clean sheet and to be able to design a checkpoint, design access points in an airport, design queuing areas, public space, and secure space is critically important. One of the concepts that we've put together with our industry partners is a concept called open architecture. And it's designed to connect aviation transportation security systems and an opportunity to speed implementation of technology solutions around the globe. It promises to ultimately reduce costs and allow us to more quickly respond to emerging threats. When I think of the emerging threats that I talked about a minute or two ago, I've been in the position over my tenure as the TSA Administrator to really wish I could get a software solution in place for a threat that we see developing or a threat that is currently manifesting itself rather than going through a manual process to detect whatever item it is we have a concern of in our screening checkpoints. Sometimes that takes way longer than it should because sometimes the software solutions are proprietary systems. Open architecture will give us a pathway to engage across international partners and industry partners to collaboratively work together by raising security effectiveness across the system. And it raises the baseline on technology and security at an advanced level for adopters. This focus on common data formatting and communications protocols has tremendous opportunity for like-minded partners like us. And I really call out my industry partners for their work on open architecture. It's a different way of doing things. We've got wide support in Europe for this process going forward and wide support in parts of Asia. So I'm very much looking forward as I see the system developing over the next 10 years to having all of our equipment buys for open architecture, for technology being an open architecture format. Another thing that has been mentioned several times is the conversation you had yesterday, that you'll have today and you'll have tomorrow, is all about opportunity. What can we do together to advance quicker, to service those customers, to meet those rising expectations? And one example that I would give you that I think is very tangible and very reachable between India and the United States is one-stop security. It's a concept that expedites the flow of passengers and baggage to their destinations by eliminating the duplication of security controls at transfer points. Essentially what it means is if there's a one-stop agreement between our two countries, if there's a flight that departs Delhi destined for the United States, and let's say its initial airport is JFK, and a number of the passengers have follow-on connecting US domestic flights, that if we have a one-stop agreement with the government of India and with Delhi Airport, that we would not need to rescreen those passengers, and that their check bags would go from aircraft to aircraft in almost every situation. This is a really powerful concept. It offers a number of important benefits. It raises global aviation security standards. It means that flights inbound to the United States are more secure. If there's a reverse agreement between the United States and India where US screening satisfies Indian requirements, that means that flights to India would also be more secure. It does require the regular exchange of information, so that's the reason I mentioned having a TSA attaché or a representative in place and having an agreement to share sensitive information is important. It requires improvements to security processes to maintain the agreement. It yields a reduction in security costs through better allocation of resources, reduces flight connection times and misconnections, and improves the passenger experience. You know, we've all seen this incredible growth. We can't continue to grow our systems to match passenger growth. It just doesn't make sense with technology opportunities and with opportunities from a procedural basis like one-stop security. I also think it's important to mention cybersecurity. There are other threats that are not as obvious in our history, but certainly are at the forefront of our daily lives today. The cybersecurity threat is real, and we are well aware of the reality of that threat. This threat is targeting our critical infrastructure to include our aviation infrastructure and other transportation infrastructure as well. And one of the differences with TSA is that we have responsibility beyond aviation. It's the Transportation Security Administration, and so we have responsibility for ensuring the cybersecurity of pipeline systems in the United States, of rail systems, mass transit systems, et cetera. So there's a pretty significant responsibility there beyond aviation. We look at both physical and cybersecurity in aviation, and our approach has been a fairly novel approach for a US regulator. In fact, I don't know of many regulators that approach a way to improve security in this manner, and that is that we're using a performance-based approach. Rather than say to the owners and operators of critical infrastructure in the United States involving transportation that you have to do these 100 different things, we simply say you need to achieve 4 outcomes. And you tell us, owner-operator, how you intend to achieve those outcomes. We'll review that plan, adjust and approve it as necessary, and then importantly, once that plan's in place, we assess its performance against outcome achievement. So it's a very different way of looking at a regulatory regime. What that does from my perspective is it gives our industry partners the opportunity to tailor cybersecurity to their own business process, which I think is critically important. Rather than having somebody abandon a process that might be achieving the outcomes just as well, we allow them to keep it and not just very discreetly describe activities that they need to perform. So we'd be more than willing to share our experience in cybersecurity with our partners in the room. In summary, I see a bright future where partnerships serve as a hedge against risk and growth, where partnerships serve as a hedge against risk and growth, an enabler of emerging opportunities. Harmonized, forward-looking investment is effective, it's efficient, and enabling in that order, placing security first, saving resources second, and making travel better third. Things like one-stop security accomplish all three, and India is certainly in a place where it could be realized in the future. Helping each other succeed and making our aviation sectors more secure, efficient, and good for the traveler makes us all better in the end. It has been a privilege speaking with you this morning. I wish you all the best as you go through the next couple of days. You'll have some additional and much smarter than me TSA experts here to participate in the panels. They are very much looking forward to it, and I look forward to a future trip to India. I just got back from a trip to Thailand and Vietnam. I have a couple of my representatives. Stephanie, if you could stand up just so you all meet some of the key people in the region. Stephanie is our regional director for Asia Pacific. She's based in Singapore. And Gloria, where is Gloria? Gloria Reyes is our Transportation and Security Administration representative based in Bangkok, responsibility for Vietnam and currently India. Big part of the world, lots going on. That's the reason why I would like to add an additional person to our embassy in Delhi. Thank you very much. Have a good time.